Hey Drop, welcome to Horsehead Bookends for another Gaming Friday. Today we are going to be doing a quick playthrough and review of Bitoku from Devir Games. The time has come for the Great Spirit to move on, and one of the Bitoku must be chosen as its successor. As one of those spirits, can you prove that you are alone worthy of this incredible honor? Bitoku is a 1-2-4 player worker placement hand management, I guess, set collection type of game where there is a whole lot going on the board itself. When I first saw pictures of the game, I was a little intimidated, but as I learned it more, it's actually extremely easy to play. Someone online actually put it the best. They said it looks like a Lacerda, but plays like a Feld. You either know what that means or you don't. If you do, you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. So I have the game set up for a 2-player game. There is a solo mode. I haven't really played it yet, but I've played it at 2 and 3 players so far, and it's a lot of fun. Bitoku is played over the course of 4 rounds, and each round has 4 seasons. At the end of 4 rounds, there's the final scoring, and the person with the most points win. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to play the game because there are other videos online that can do a way better job of it than what I can. But I'm going to show you the board. I'm going to show you some of the actions you can take during the round. We're going to play through a round as a 2-player game, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. So let's head over to the table now. Okay, here's the Bitoku board laid out for a 2-player game. As you can see on the game board, there is a whole lot going on here. Let's start at the top of the board, and I'll try to lay out all the different areas of the board for you. Because it does get a bit overwhelming. At the very top of the board, you have the phase track and the round track. The phase track with the pagoda goes through the 4 seasons. At the end of winter, the round track moves up 1. At the end of 4 rounds, it is the Ascension, which is the final scoring of the game. Right below that, you have the Paths of Wisdom. This is where you put your awoken pilgrims on this track right here. They start at the gate and they move down. That's what you need movement points for. Right below that starts the forest section of the board, and that runs for the upper quarter of the board. Now, the upper section of the hills, you can move your dice, so you can gather yokai cards and also Bitoku cards. You also have another section. In the middle of the board, you have the home of the Great Spirit. It's another area of the board that is part of the worker placement mechanic of the game. Depending on where you are, where you place your die, whoever's the higher, they become the first player marker. And in a 2-player game, you have 2 markers up here. The one on the left goes first, one on the right goes second. Right below that is the river. Now that's just an area where you actually have to cross as an action move. Any of your dice that is slotted over here and the lower half of the forest, for a turn you can take one of those dice and cross the river, and you actually have to turn down your die by 1. So if it's a 1, you really can't cross the river. 2 goes to 1, 3 to 2, so on and so forth. If it's a 6, it actually has to go to 3, and there is some iconography right on there. Right below the river, you have 4 different locations, which are the main worker placement parts of the game. You have the lands of the Yomi. This gets you dragonflies and spirits, depending on what die you put there. The next one is the Stairs of Knowledge. That gives you movement points. Now you can move your pilgrims across the Paths of Wisdom. You can also move one of your player markers across your Bitoku cards that you collect, which we'll show later on the player board. After that is the Glade of Jade, where you can get resources. And then finally is the Forges, where you can actually get buildings and also get crystals. Right underneath the different areas where you can place your workers, you have the Kodama tracker. Different things will let you move your Kodama up, and you get victory points at the end of the game, depending on if you are first, second, or third. In a 2-player game, and I believe the solo, there's actually a dummy counter on there, so you do need to pass him to get first place. Right below that is the Rock Garden, where you can collect these rocks and put them on your player board. Depending on how many pilgrims you have on your player board, you will score points based on the icon that they have on the token. Right below that section in the bottom part of the board, you have your dragonflies. You have your spirits, which you can collect from doing different things. You have your buildings, which you can build. And you also have crystals that you'll collect during your game. And right in the middle of the board, you have the Rift of Visions, which are cards that you can collect to get some more victory points at the end of the game if you fulfill everything that's on the card. Okay, so here is the player board set up for the purple player, which will be me. I'm also playing green, which will be me as well, because it is a two-player game. In the center of the board is where you place your yokai cards. Once you place a card, you can actually move your die up and unlock it and use it on another turn. On the top of the board are different areas where you can slot in certain crystals. There are 3 types of crystals. There are dream crystals, which are purple, memory crystals, which are yellow, and ingenuity crystals that are pink. Well, the pink ones actually go next to the yokai cards to unlock those. The dream crystals happen every time at the beginning of the summer phase, I believe. It's whatever the first season is. I think it's, no, I'm sorry, spring. Spring, summer, autumn, fall. So in the beginning of the spring phase, you get rewarded for those. The memory crystals are yellow. Anytime something happens that it says on the memory crystal itself, you will get a reward for that. It's usually a victory point. And then finally, the pink ingenuity crystals, which get slotted in here on the board. Every time you play a yokai into that slot, you will get the reward for that. In the upper right-hand section of the board are your awoken pilgrims. Now you can use these pilgrims to go up to the Path of Wisdom and have them move along that track, or you can slot them down here with the rocks you collected from the rock garden. These help you get victory points at the end of the game. And then finally on the bottom of the track, those are your buildings. You start from left to right, and starting with left is what you need to pay to build a building if you get that opportunity. And then in the lower right hand corner is your little player marker that will move up as you collect different Bitoku cards. The game is set up. Let us play through all the phases of a round. Alright, I tried my best to fit everything into view, but I really can't. So some parts of the player boards are going to be cut off, and I think some parts of the board up top are going to be cut off as well. Alright, so at the start of the game, you start with 5 starting cards, and you know they're your starting cards. They have a little color and symbol there for your... Shuffle them up, you draw 4, you discard 1, and you start with 3 cards in your hand. The starting vision cards I have for purple, as you can see right here, as soon as it focuses in. Now what it says is I need to get 2 Bitoku, I need to build a building, I need to have one of my pilgrims on a tower space in the Path of Wisdom. And if I complete them all, I get 6 points. If I don't, I lose 2. Green has a whole bunch of different things on their vision card, so they're going to be trying to do that while I do that. And over the course of the game, you do get more vision cards, and so you have to complete everything on each card. You don't get to carry over. If you completed one on one card, you don't get to carry it over. Alright, so spring. There's really nothing that happens in the spring right now, except you summon the yokai, which is you draw 4 cards, and then you reap the fruits, which is any purple crystals you have, you get to collect for that. Start of the game, we really don't have any purple crystals, but we do draw the cards. And now we move up to summer. Now in the summer phase are your main actions. You have 4 of them that you can take. You can play a yokai card from your hand, you can use an unlocked die on your player board, you can cross the river, or you can pass. Now you're not allowed to pass until you've played 3 yokai cards and you've placed 3 dice. When both players pass, it's the end of the summer phase and we move on to autumn. So let's start. For my first card, I'm going to play Kappa, which gives me 1 movement point, because I need to have one of my pilgrims on a tower space. So that unlocks a die, and now I get to take my movement point. So I would take one of my Woken Pilgrims, and they start at the gate right here, and they get a movement point of 1. Now it is Green's turn. Now Green on their vision card also needs a Pilgrim on a tower space. And I think what green is going to do right now is they're actually going to do the same thing. They're going to play Kappa, and they're going to take one of their pilgrims, bring them up to the gate, and move them one. Because my vision, I need 2 Bitoku that are activated. I want to try to get a Bitoku as fast as possible. At the same time, I also want movement. So what I'm going to do is, instead of playing a yokai card, I'm going to place my die right there, and that will give me 2 movement points. So because I know that my opponent can't get movement points right now, maybe I don't go up the first track, maybe I move 2 over and try to get some more points. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I moved my pilgrim 2, my turn's done because I placed the die, and now it is my opponent's turn. I need movement points as well, but at the same time, I can't place a die there. So instead, what I think I'm going to do, I am going to actually place my die out here. So now I can either buy a building, or I can take a crystal. So I think I'm going to buy a building. Now, when you buy a building, depending on where you place it, there are actual different buildings that you have to place them on. There are 2 that are gray that are a little confusing, but it's sort of like a yellowish gray. There's gray, blue, red, and this yellowish gray. And all of them have different meanings. I'm gonna butcher these words. Red is Ryokan, the yellow is a farm, blue is onsen, and then the gray is a temple. So when buying buildings and placing them, they have to match. So I think I am going to buy this farm right here and place it down there. I pay my 1 wood to the bank, and that is my building. Also, there's something already built here. Since I used a 3, and this has a 3 on it, I get to move my Kodama up 1. So now I can possibly score some points. Green's turn is over. Back to purple. Now, I necessarily don't want to move my die across the river yet, because that will open up a space for my opponent to get in there and get some movement points. So I'm not exactly sure I want to do that yet. I also need a building. So let's see, but I can't get a building because my opponent is on the building space. So I think for now, I am going to play another yokai, Shinokami. And with this one, I can either get a dragonfly or I can get a spirit. That unlocks another die. Now, dragonflies, you can collect them and put them on your player board, but you do not get the bonus yet. When you collect the spirit, you automatically get that bonus. At the same time, you do need to pay for any spirit you take. Dragonflies, you do need to pay a resource, except for this one right here. That one you can get for free. I think I am going to pay a jade and take this right here. Now with this spirit, I can either get a resource or an amulet. What the amulets do is they allow you to increase your die count by 1 if you play it when you place it. So I'm going to do that, but I'm actually going to take a Saki resource and put that right there. Purple is over, back to green. All right, I think what I am going to do is I am going to cross the river with one of my dies. Now in a 2-player game, you can land on either spot. So you can take, when you land on either spot, you can either take from here or there. Now you could either get a Bitoku, get a yokai, or you could either get a new vision card and place a pilgrim on where your rock garden is, move your Kodama up one, or take another rock. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cross the river right there. I have to roll my dice down to a 2. And I think I am going to take this Kappa card right here, because what it does is when I play it, not only, if it would focus, Not only when I play it, I get to unlock another die, but I also get 2 movement points, so that's pretty good. So that goes into my discard pile, and now green's turn is over. Alright, back to purple. I do have a die unlocked. They don't, so I really don't have to worry about that right now. So do I want to play something? Well, I can build, because this spot is open now, so we can do that. And I think I am going to do that. I am going to put my die right there. And for a 2 and a 2, I get to build a building. And my building will cost 1 wood. And which one do I want right now? Oh, and I did forget. You get a bonus. You get to move your Kodama when you place a building. And this one I didn't do yet, but he gets to move 1 time, so I'll move him up 1. So I think I am going to take this one right here, and that's a gray. And I am going to place that right there. I put my building on it, and I get to move my Kodama up too. Alright, that's the end for purple. Time for green. I need to get some more dice unlocked, so let me go and play. You know, I'm going to play this. I'm going to pay that jade, and I'm going to take this dragonfly right there. Now, I don't get a bonus for it now, but when I do combine it with the spirit, I'll get a bonus. And unlock that. And now I am done. So purple has 1 card left. Do I play it now? I'm going to play it now. I'm going to move that up, and I get to choose a wood or a stone. I'm going to take a stone in case I want another building. So now I have a stone and a sake. And purple's done. Back to green. And the only thing, I can place a die, or... Oh, you know what I can do? Now, this is very interesting because it's only in a 2-player game. In the home of the Great Spirit, this section right here in the middle of the board. Now, what it does is, you can place a die there and it will get you amulets, it will get you resources or movement points, or in this spot right here, you get to copy any other die that's slotted in these spots right here. They have 2 little red marks next to them. But you do have to turn your die down to 1. So, I really want those movement points. Or I could just take 1 movement point and an amulet. That's what I think we're going to do. And plus it'll put me on the track for green to possibly be the first player next round. So let's put this dice up here. I get 1 movement point. Well, first I get an amulet. And I get a movement point or a resource. I'm going to take the movement point. I am going to move my pilgrim from here up to the tower. He becomes sleeping. I get another amulet, and I get 2 victory points. So green gets 2, and I get another amulet. Back to purple. I think now it is time for me to move my dice across the river. And I think I want to take... do I want that one? Yes, I want this Bitoku right here. So this is one of the Bitoku that I chose. If it would focus. There we go. So I get 3 victory points right away, and then when I move my little guy onto this space, I get a dragonfly. So I get 3 points right away, and my turn's over. Back to green. I have 1 card left. I can get a jade or a sake. I think I'm going to take a sake, and I activate this die. Green is done. Back to purple. The rounds move very, very quickly. I have 1 more die to play. Do I want to... I could build another building. Oh, I can't go there. What else? I still need another Bitoku card. So I can... Oh, you know what? I am going to cross the river again over here. I didn't roll this die back. Let me roll this back to 2. I'm going to cross the river again. That goes down to 1. And I am going to take this Bitoku card, which gives me 2 victory points right away. And I will slot it in. All right, green, they have one more die to place. So what do I want to do with green? I think I want to buy a crystal. So, but I only have a 1, but I do have amulets. So I'm gonna spend 2 amulets to move this to a 3 and slot that right there. So now I can either build another building or buy a crystal. So I can get this one for free, but I don't want that one. I think I want the one that will give me a free amulet every time. So I'm going to take that one, and I get to unlock a Sleeping Pilgrim. And I have to pay 1 for it, so I pay 1. I am done with green right now. Back to purple. I do have another die to slot. And what do I want to do? Oh, that's a 1. I can get a 2. That only gives me 1 movement point. Do I want... You know what? I want to keep going first next round. So I'm going to take this 1 die and put it up top here and take a 2 amulet. And now my turn is done. I've placed my 3 dice, I've placed my 3 yokai cards, and I can't do anything else. Now, green, I could move across the river, but I'm blocked in both places, so I really can't do anything. I've played my 3 yokai cards, so I think it is the end of summer. So now it is time to move on to autumn. The first thing that gets done in autumn is a new turn order is decided. Whoever has the highest die in the Home of the Great Spirit goes first. Purple's higher. Purple gets to go first. Autumn is now done. We move on to winter. Now the first thing that happens in winter, all the Guardians return home. So everyone takes their dice back and they get slotted in the number they are. So actually purple's dice are pretty low. I have a 2, a 1, and a 1, but I do have some amulets. And green is a 3, a 2, and a 2. Next, if you have at least 5 yokai cards, you can actually permanently remove one from the game and score the amount of victory points on there. I'm not going to do that right now. Next step, yokai say farewell. So all the yokai on your player board gets discarded. We advance the Great Spirit 1 step, and now we prepare for the next round. The first thing you do when preparing, all of the Bitoku and yokai cards that weren't taken get discarded. And we put out some new ones. Along with the yokai and Bitoku cards, now you also have to move down the dragonfly spirits, crystals, and the buildings. On each one you will see a little fire symbol. That's because they basically get thrown out, they get burned. So they're missing from these 3, but the crystals have one. So that gets discarded. We have none. Now everything moves down to fill in the space. After everything is moved down, we fill in the empties, and now we're ready for spring of the second round to begin. Again, there's a lot of options, there's a lot to do, but everything makes sense as you play the game. Let's head back to the office and talk about it. Okay, so that was Bitoku from Devir Games. I really enjoyed this game. At first, I was excited to get it because of the play mechanics, because I love a good worker placement game, one that is a little more complex. This does have some complexity to it, but it is not impossible to play, teach, and learn. I think the biggest part of this game, which makes it difficult, is while you can make good choices to score points at the end of the game, are you making the best choices? And that, I think, that's where a bit of some analysis paralysis might come in. because you might think you're making a good move, but then you see something else open up and you're like, oh wait, maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do this other thing. How can I do it? Because I do only have 4 rounds to get it done in. But that's what I really like about this game. It's not so much the rules and how to play, but are you making the best choices to get you the most points in the 4 rounds. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please don't forget to click on subscribe, ring the notification bell. You get notified anytime I upload a new video. Any questions or comments, feel free to post it below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, talk to you later.